Hello and welcome to Tools for Motherhood activity series. My name is Dr. Mary Duncan, and in this video today we're going to be taking a look at another pre-social studies activity that's going to be focusing on creative conversations. And the age group we'll be focusing on are the 5 to 6-year-olds. Let's get started. The goal of this activity would be as you're getting into the car and running errands, you could point out items in your environment that fit in with these certain questions or statements that you could ask your child. Here are a list to begin those conversations. You could have the child point out something that is red or any other color that you might want to reinforce. You could point out something that is round or any other shape. You could point out a number that they're learning or look for on street signs and billboards. You could point out something that is huge or tiny or whatever size that you want to reinforce in their vocabulary. You could point out something like what you're hearing, for example, birds chirping or sirens down the street. You could point out something that you could do with your feet or your hands. You could point out something that you could do downtown or at a park, at church, or at the lake. You could point out something that flies or walks or crawls. What about things that start with a particular letter that you're learning, like, oh, let's say the letter B for baby, or blue, or balloon? What about pointing out words with the ending of maybe a T? For example, bat and cat. Those words end with the T sound. You could practice your phone number or their address. Those definitely you'll want to know before you go to school. You could point out something that is living, for example, a squirrel in the tree, or something that's not living, like a statue or a rock in the park. You could point out a bird and talk about the colors that it has, about how it flies, but we don't. You could point out a piece of clothing. For example, coats. People now have gloves on, or a cowboy hat, or a ball cap of the favorite sports team that your family enjoys. What about pointing out different means of transportation, such as a bus or a train, if you have trolleys in your city, or what about a plane that's flying over the way up in the sky? You could point out fruit that are on trees if that's available to see, or point out something that's made of wood or glass or plastic or metal. If you're in the kitchen, you can stir up conversation. Something, for example, while you're cooking, you could ask them and talk to them about you've peeled the carrots. Now you're going to cut them with a knife, kind of describe what you're doing. You can ask them which vegetables do they like best. What do the carrots smell like as they're cooking? What do they feel like or taste like or look like? My son loved vegetables that were orange. Carrots happen to be one of them. What's happening to them as they cook? As a hard carrot is cooked, how did they get soft? Talk about it. Will the cooked carrot taste? Will it taste good? What if we put butter on it? How would that change it? Okay. What about if you're talking with your child as you're washing dishes? Talk about perhaps what is happening to the water when you add the bowls that had soup in it. What happened to the clean water? Why do the dishes look? How do they look before and then after you wash them? And then ask them, why do you wash them? What would happen if I didn't wash them? Then look at the bubbles. When you first started off, there were lots of bubbles. But what happened to them when you got done with all of your dishes? There were not very many left. And then let your child help you wash too. Maybe he has his own dishpan or her own dishpan or materials for pouring. That can be fun for them as well. What about if you're out on a walk and you want to talk about things that you're smelling while you're out on a walk? Or if you're in the kitchen, what is it that you're smelling? An apple pie is baking. The laundry is being cleaned and it smells fresh and clean. You can talk about things that are sour tasting or maybe sweet. What smells are strong or weak? What does a smell remind you of? Oh, it reminds me of Grandpa, that kind of aftershave. That smells like Grandpa. What does coffee smell like? Or what about the pancakes cooking? Or what about bacon when it's cooking? Oh, all of those can just stir up wonderful conversations with you and your child. Enjoy talking with them, having them answer questions, help them develop that problem solving skills in their minds. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like more ideas, please check out our toolsformotherhood.com website. Happy learning.